Revise. Ese.
Built in.
A ver. Yes.
Hello, hello.
A ver, vamos a hacer un test. A ver si nos escuchan.
Hello, hello.
A ver, decime, Mariana, si me escuchas. 1, 2.
Checking, checking, checking.
Monitor off.
Hello, hello, hello. No, we don't want monitor.
Monitor
Because
and
then you'll
output.
just hear it.
Monitor off. Monitor and output.
No, monitor off. Because monitor is what we hear back.
Listo.
Hey!
Empezá de vuelta. You need to start again.
Hello, everybody. We're so sorry for technical difficulties. Okay, I'm going to introduce myself again. I'm going to blow out the candle. And we're going to start from scratch. So, my name is Matt Wray. I'm an actor for 𝐇𝐚𝐥𝐸𝐴. I am from the United States, and I live here in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The light is very bright there. Today, we are going to be presenting to you a Halloween-themed story called The Monkey's Paw. It's about 40 minutes or so, and then afterwards we'll do a little bit of a talk back where you guys can ask some questions. So, we get started. Remember, if you like the show, if you enjoy it, and you can, please donate. And yeah, enjoy the show. Here we go. So, outside, it was windy and cold. And the rain didn't stop for 1 second. But inside the little house on 12 Castle Lane, it was warm and cozy. Old Mrs. White sat and watched, smiling. She watched her husband, old Mr. White, and their son Herbert playing chess. Mrs. White was happy, because although the family didn't have many things, they weren't very rich, they had each other, they had their little house, and they were happy. Now, Mr. White tried to distract his son from the game of chess. "Ooh, listen to the rain," he said. But Herbert wasn't distracted. "Yes, it's very nasty out. Is your friend, Sergeant Morris still coming?" "I think so. Although, with all this rain, I'm not sure." But before Mr. White could finish, there was a knock at the door. And so Mrs. White got up, started to put things together in the living room, and Mr. White went to go answer the door. "Hello, Tom! Oh, won't you please come in? Come in, please. Let's dry you off." Mr. White came back into the room, followed by a tall, barrel-chested, red-faced man. This man was Sergeant Tom Morris. Tom, this is my wife, Mrs. White, and my son, Herbert." "It's nice to meet you both," said Sergeant Morris. "It's nice to meet you too," said Mrs. White. "Yes, very nice to meet you," said Herbert. Please, Tom, take off your jacket, and won't you please sit down by the fire and warm up? You know, let's get you a glass of whiskey. Let's all have a glass of whiskey to warm us up." And so, the little family sat down around the fire and listened to Sergeant Morris, telling stories about his time in India. After some time, Mr. White said, "Tom and I were friends 21 years ago, before he went off to India. What a wonderful country India must be. I would like to visit someday as well." "It's better for you here," said Sergeant Morris. "Well, but I would like to go as well," said Herbert. "Oh, Herbert," said Mrs. White. You see, she was afraid of losing her son. "No, Herbert's right. It's a fascinating country. I would really like to go." "No, it's better if you stay here," said Sergeant Morris. "But Tom, what do you mean? You've told us such wonderful stories about magic and marvelous places. I would like to see them as well. What was that story you had told us? What was that about the monkey's paw? A monkey's paw? Why would there be a story about a monkey's paw? Said Mrs. White. No, it's nothing. It's not an interesting story, said Sergeant Morris. Well, come on now. It sounded very interesting. Come on, tell us. Sergeant Morris picked up his whiskey glass, looked at it for a moment, took a big sip, and slowly dug into his pocket. He very slowly pulled out something rather dark and dirty looking. Well, Mr. and Mrs. White were a bit afraid, but their son, Herbert, was unafraid. He took it right out of Sergeant Morris's hand. What? Would you look at that? It is! It's an old dried up monkey's paw! Why would you have a monkey's paw in your pocket, Sergeant Morris? That is no ordinary monkey's paw. You see, that monkey's paw is magic. Magic? A monkey's paw? Magic? Oh, yeah, okay. Don't laugh, boy. You are old, but you are young, but I am old, and I have seen many things. This monkey's paw was made by an old Indian mystic. Its magic is that anyone who owns it is granted 3 wishes. Wow, 3 wishes. That sounds great, said Herbert. No, boy. These 3 wishes were not meant to bring happiness. You see, the old mystic wanted to teach us that it's not a good idea to try to change fate and use magic to better yourself in your life. And, well, chimed in Mr. White, does it work? Where did you get it? How do you know that it works? It was given to me by a friend of mine. His final wish was to die. Well, Mr. and Mrs. White were beginning to feel a bit afraid. Herbert still didn't believe it. And what were his first 2 wishes? I don't know. He didn't tell me. And what about you, Sergeant Morris? Did you get 3 wishes? Yes. I was young and stupid, and I wished for money and a fast car. But then my wife and my young son, they died in a car accident in that car. After that, I didn't want the money or the car anymore, so I used my 3rd and final wish to wish it all away. Well, Mr. and Mrs. White, and even Herbert, saw the look of sadness and fear on Sergeant Morris's face. And what about now? Said Mr. White. You can't use it anymore. Could you maybe give it away? No, I could never do that. It's too dangerous. Well, Tom, I'm your friend. Perhaps you could give it to me. No, precisely because you're my friend, I cannot give it to you. But of course, if you take it from me, I will not stop you. But remember, this thing is dangerous. Be careful what you wish for. But Mr. White didn't think. He took the monkey's paw from his friend Tom, looked at it, looked at his family, and looked back at Sergeant Morris. Well, how do I use it? How do I make my wish? You hold the paw in your right hand and you make your wish. But remember, be careful and think before you make any wishes. Okay, Tom, I will. Well, what should I wish for? At that moment, Mrs. White, who had gotten a bit scared by all of this, had stood up and started getting the things ready for supper. She looked at her husband, Mr. White. He looked back at her and smiled. Well, dear, what should I wish for? Well, I suppose we could use some money. We always could use some money, but, you know, it's been very difficult for me to get everything done around the house now as I'm getting older. So why don't you wish for me to get 2 extra hands? That's right, 4 hands, please. Well, Mr. White smiled back at his wife, chuckled a bit, held the monkey's paw up in his right hand, and opened his mouth to make his wish. No! Stop! Interrupted Sergeant Morris. Mr. White looked with a bit of a smile at his wife and his son, laughed. It was only a joke. Tom, don't worry. And he put the monkey's paw down on the table, and the family and their guest sat down to have some supper. After a great meal and lots of other stories about India, it was finally about midnight, and Sergeant Morris stood up to leave. Well, I must be getting the final train back to town. Thank you all for a wonderful supper and a wonderful evening. I hope to come back again soon. Yes, please, said Mrs. White. You're welcome back at any time, Sergeant Morris. And Mr. White led his friend Tom out to the front porch, shook his hand and gave him a wave as he walked down the street towards the train station. Well, the little family sat down by the fire for a few more minutes, just to talk about that evening, all of the stories they were told. What amazing stories your friend had, Mrs. White said. Well, yes, said Herbert, but they were just stories, right? I mean, come on. You don't believe that story about the monkey's paw, do you? a magic monkey's paw? Come on, it's ridiculous. Well, I tend to agree with you, Herbert. I don't think it was true either. But Mr. White wasn't so sure. Tom was his friend. Why would he lie? I don't know. I'm not so sure. I sort of believe it. Well, okay, Father, if you believe it, why don't we actually test it out? Come on, make a wish. Let's see if it works. Mr. White again looked at his wife. Well, what should I wish for? I have everything that I need. I have you. I have Herbert. We have our home. Herbert spoke up. What? A wish for money? Are you crazy? Wish for money? Come on, we're always talking about how we don't have any money. It would mean that you could buy the rest of the house. You could pay off the house. You could live easier. Come on, wish for, I don't know, $30,000. It's not so much. Okay, said Mr. White. And so, Mr. White took the monkey's paw into his right hand, and slowly, and a bit fearfully, he made his wish. I wish for $30,000. Ah! The little family rushed to Mr. White's side. What happened, dear? What's the matter? The thing, it moved. It moved when I made my wish, I swear it. The family stared and watched the monkey's paw. But it didn't move again. And so they sat for a few minutes, waiting to see what would happen, if their money would appear. But it didn't. Finally, after a little while, Mrs. White got up to go to bed. "Well, I am going to go off to bed. It's been a long night." "Good night, dear, and good night, darling," she said, kissing her husband and son good night. Sergeant Morris and his son, Herbert, sat down in the living room for a few more moments, having another glass of whiskey and thinking about the evening. Finally, Herbert got up. "It's time for me to go to bed as well. I have a big long day at the factory tomorrow at Ma and Megan's. Got to get up early." "Don't worry, Dad. Maybe it will be true. Maybe there's a pile of money waiting for you underneath your bed," he said, with a sly smile. He kissed his father goodnight and went off to bed. Mr. White sat for just a little while longer, drinking his whiskey and thinking. He sat long enough that the candle burned out, and just at that instant, he swore that he saw a face looking in at him through his front window, but when he went to look a little bit closer, there was nothing there. Mr. White, with a shiver in his spine, went off to bed. The next morning, the house was warm and bright again, and the little family sat around the table eating their breakfast. "Well, I'm going to go off to the shops today. Would you like to come, dear?" "No, I believe I'll stay home today and maybe read a bit." "Well, that's fine. We'll have to have an early night tonight. Not so much whiskey and no more stories about monkeys' paws. My goodness." "Yes, I guess it was a story, right?" said Herbert. Or maybe not. Who knows? Maybe the money will show up today. You never know. I have got to go off to work at the factory. I won't be going out after work tonight. I'll come straight home. Get some sleep." And so Herbert got up and went off to work. Mrs. White walked him out, gave him a kiss goodbye, and watched as he walked down the street towards the train station. The couple sat for a few more minutes talking. "Well, I wonder if that story was true. I mean, we do need the money," said Mrs. White. "Yes, I don't know. I swear, when I made that wish last night, this thing moved." "Well, perhaps it was all of the whiskey, dear." But Mr. White didn't respond, because at that moment he saw that the mailman had arrived with 2 letters. Maybe one of the letters contained the money. And so Mr. White went out and got the mail. Unfortunately, the 2 letters were 2 bills, so the little family owed money instead of receiving money. Very bad luck. Well, the day went on, and a little while longer the couple were sitting down to lunch, and again they started talking about money. You see, when you don't have a lot of money, you end up talking a lot about money. "We really could have used that money. It's going to be difficult to pay the mortgage this month," said Mrs. White. "Yes, I know, but what am I to do? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, dear." But just at that moment, Mrs. White noticed something out front. You see, there was a well-dressed man, a stranger. He walked up to their front gate, stopped as if to open it to come to their front door, but then looked as if he didn't want to, and he walked away. The man did this 2 more times, coming, almost opening the gate, deciding not to, walking away, coming back, almost opening the gate, no, coming back, and finally, on the 4th time, he opened the gate and slowly made his way to the door. Well, Mrs. White noticed that this was a very well-dressed man. And just for a moment, she thought, maybe he has the money. So she took off her apron and put the house in a bit of order and went to open the door. She found a stranger who was indeed very well-dressed, waiting for her with a solemn face. Hello, what can I do for you? Hello, are you Mrs. White? Yes, that's right. Would you like to come in? Mrs. White led the stranger into their kitchen, and he greeted Mr. White. Hello, you must be Mr. White. That's right. Won't you please come in and be comfortable? What can we do for you? The man didn't say anything at first. He looked nervous. Finally, he said, I come from the factory at 𝐷 where your son Herbert works. Well, yes, of course. 𝐷. How is everything? Is everything all right? I'm so sorry. There's been an accident, said the man. Mrs. White began feeling panicked. What do you mean, an accident? Oh, no. Is Herbert okay? No, can I go see him? Is he all right? Come on, tell us, what's going on? Can I go see my son? No, I'm so sorry. And at that moment, Mr. and Mrs. White realized the depth of this situation. No! Is Herbert dead? No, my Herbert! No! What happened? What happened? There was an accident. Herbert called out for help, but the men, they didn't get there in time. He had been sucked into the machine. He was in the machine for a long time. I'm so sorry. His body was torn apart. I'm so sorry. Mrs. White nearly fainted. Mr. White stood up to support her weight, saying to the man, he was our son. We loved him. Oh, Herbert, what are we to do without him? And the old couple began to cry. The man didn't know what to do. He stepped away for a moment and let the old couple cry a bit, and a moment later he stepped back towards them. I'm so sorry. Your son was a good worker, and he worked for 𝐷 for a long time. And 𝐷 would like to help you in this time of need. And the man reached into his back pocket and pulled out an envelope filled with something. And he handed it forward to Mr. White. Mr. White reached out to take the envelope and silently, fearfully looked at the man and said, How much money is it? How much? The man looked Mr. White in his eyes, and he said, $30,000. Two days later, the old couple buried their son. They came back from the cemetery, sat down in their cold house. They didn't know what to do. It felt like all of the warmth, all of the love in their home was gone. They would sit around not talking, just waiting, hoping that maybe something would change, that Herbert would come back, that it would all just be a bad dream. But days went by and nothing changed. About a week later, Mr. White woke up in the middle of the night, and he saw his wife, Mrs. White, sitting by the window, staring out as if she was waiting for Herbert to come walking back from work. "Please, come back to bed. It's very cold. It's colder for my son." Mr. White wanted to comfort his wife, but he was old and very tired, and he fell back asleep. But a few moments later, he was awoken by his wife, leaning over the bed, speaking to him. "The monkey's paw! Where is the monkey's paw? Go get it!" Mr. White looked up at his wife. What are you talking about? That thing is evil. Don't you remember what it did to us? Please, come back to bed. Please, I beg of you." "No! Get the paw! We have 2 more wishes! Get the paw and use one of the wishes to wish for Herbert to come back to us." No, what? Herbert was torn apart by those machines. No, please, we don't want to see him again. That paw is evil. Please, I beg of you. I don't care. He's my son and I love him. Get the paw. Well, Mr. White tried to argue. He knew it was a bad idea. It terrified him. But his wife was so sad, and he saw just a glimmer of hope in her eye. And so he went down the stairs, and he searched in the darkness for the paw that he had left on the table a week before. And when he grabbed it, a shiver went down his spine. He went back upstairs and again tried begging his wife, "Please, I'm very sad too, but this thing is evil. Please, I beg of you, let's leave it alone, please." But Mrs. White would not change her mind. And so, Mr. White quietly held the monkey's paw up in his right hand, and he made his wish. "I wish that our son Herbert would come back to us." He threw the paw down onto the ground. Mrs. White rushed to the window, looking out to see if anything would happen. But there was nothing there. And after a little while, the old couple got back into bed, tried to sleep, but they couldn't. They were nervous, they were scared, and after a little bit of time, Mr. White decided he wanted to get a candle. So he got up and went back downstairs. But as soon as he got to the bottom of the stairs, he froze, because just at that moment, he heard just a slight tap at the front door. He froze for a moment, and a moment later, he heard it a little bit louder. And a little bit louder next. And then a little bit louder, and he realized that it was someone knocking at his door, and it kept getting louder and louder and louder. And so Mr. White rushed back up the stairs and slammed the door, hoping that his wife had not heard the sound, but she had already heard it. Is that Herbert? Is Herbert at the door? That's my son, Herbert! Get out of my way! I'm going to open the door! He tried to stop her. Please, I beg of you. We don't want to see him. It will be awful. Please, leave it alone. Please, I beg of you. Let's leave it alone. But no, it was too close. He was here. Mrs. White pushed back her husband and ran down the stairs. And Mr. White thought, what could he do? What could he do? What can I do? And he realized he only had one option. He heard downstairs as the banging continued and his wife at the door. Herbert, it's me, your mother, I'm here. Just wait, I'll open the door. And he heard her trying to fiddle with the first of the 3 locks. Mr. White got down on his hands and knees and he began searching frantically for the paw. Where was it? Where had it fallen? As he heard her opening the first lock. Please, darling, wait for me, please. I'm almost here. Mommy's almost here. And he kept searching frantically as she opened the second lock. Searching with all his might, trying to find it as he heard her fiddling with the third and final lock. Finally, he found the monkey's paw. He lifted it into his hand and he made his third and final wish. He ran down the stairs as soon as she opened the door and looked out in front of the house. But there was no one there. There was no one there. There was just the wind and the empty street. The end. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story. I think now we're going to enable the chat, right? All right. Is there a way for me to read the chat to see if there's, yeah, that works. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this chair. Pull it a little closer.
You won't be able to see yourself.
Ah, okay.
Because this is a little bit delayed.
Sure, I get it. So
unless we put both screens.
No, it's okay.
You're okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Everybody can see me. Thank you. Clap, clap, clap. Thank you very much. I think I'm in the center of the screen, right? Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, so we can do a little bit of a talk back now. The first thing is talk a little bit about the story, right? So I always like to start this off by sort of making sure that everybody understood more or less what happened, right, in the story. So maybe you can type in the chat. It's very scary, excellent. Maybe you can type in the chat, what do you all think was Mr. White's third wish? What do you think was the third wish? Thank you, congrats, thank you.
Maybe you live 10 seconds later or 15 seconds after you saw.
Ah, okay, there's a delay, so it's gonna look a bit awkward. I'm gonna sit here awkwardly.
Let's see. I can put both screens. It's not uncomfortable.
Thank you. So, that's great. Now I can see myself a little bit. Perfect. Yes. Okay, now I'm seeing the answers. The third wish, right. Good. Exactly. The sun doesn't come back. We're not seeing their son. Very good. The sun doesn't come back. He wished it all away. More or less the same idea, right? Yeah. Wishing to not see the sun. That his wife didn't come out. Could be. Yeah, I think it never happened. Yeah, I think all of those are sort of on the right idea, right? That either he wished that the whole thing didn't happen. Of course, I don't think he could wish for his son back, because part of the idea is that his son would come back as like a zombie, right? Or as something he was torn apart by a machine. So the idea is that he can't have him back. So I think he wishes for him to just not come back, which must have been a very hard thing for a father to wish for, right? To sort of realize that it couldn't be fixed, it couldn't be changed. Stop his wife, that could have been it too. It's possible, sure. It's kind of open-ended, right? There's a lot of options here. Accident never happened, maybe. Yeah. Although he doesn't see anybody when he goes outside, so he doesn't see his son healthy either. Very good. in my opinion, her third wish was that the day would start again. Second opportunity. Could be. I think a lot of you are very optimistic about what the wish is. So maybe for a moment too, in a moment we can kind of open up questions in general if people have general questions. But what do you guys think some of the themes of the story are? Like what are we supposed to learn from this story? It's definitely a story with a message, right? Or a moral. So what do you guys think is the moral of this story? Third wish was an illusion. Destroy the monkey's paw? That would be a smart third wish. Could be. Why did Mr. Wray cry? Mr. White? Well, he cried because he was very sad. Exactly. It didn't come true. So what do you guys think? What are some of the themes of this story? Easy ways are not the better way. Okay, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone has a price? Interesting. It's an interesting idea. To believe in people or money is not everything? Yeah, think of consequences. I like that. Value what you have? Very nice answers. Yeah, for me, it's definitely not that you shouldn't want better things in life, because being motivated for better things is a good thing, right? Working hard and trying to better yourself and the people around you and the world around you. Those are all good things, but they kind of try to cheat their way into it, right? Trying to use magic, and that's not really the way it works, right? So maybe they should have been a bit more appreciative of what they already had and not tried to sort of trick fate and use magic to get something else, right? That no monkey's paw that didn't have 3 wishes. That's maybe one of the themes too, that this is all a very absurd story, of course. Money can't buy happiness. Sure, absolutely. Don't expect the best if you're not ready for the worst. Interesting. Yeah. So the idea of the monkey's paw is now sort of a philosophical tool that people use, right? It's a very well-known story. And part of the idea is be careful what you wish for. That you might wish for a lot of money, but do you know what will happen for you to get that money, right? And the monkey's paw would do that. It would give you what you wanted, but it would take something from you at the same time, right? All right. Excellent. Anybody else have any other questions? I'm going to open up questions. If people have questions for me, I know that there's students on here from Argentina. It looks like many places in the world, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to read some of it that's not in English, but sometimes you have to let things go. It's a great story. You're a very good actor. Thank you very much. Everything has a price. Excellent.
An invitation to all South America and all the world.
Wow. So there's people from everywhere here. So does anybody have any questions for me, whether they're about English, teaching English, learning English, or maybe about acting, or about me living in Buenos Aires, me living in Latin America? Did Morris get his family back? I don't think Morris got his family back. I think that he lost them. Yeah. How long have you been working as an actor? I've been working as an actor I started acting when I was like 12. So 20 years-ish? Long time. I am an American, yes. I'm from the United States. Thank you very much for all the compliments. It's very sweet. It will be on YouTube always. I'm not sure if it's going to be saved on YouTube. I don't think so. I think we just did it live. Obviously, Tales Inc., we also book shows, right? We do this for schools, for institutes. So if you liked it, tell your teachers, tell your friends. And we're on Instagram. I think most of you probably saw this on Instagram. Argentina needs dollars. That's true. Do you speak another language? I speak Spanish, yeah. But that's it, just Spanish and English. When Sergeant Morris wished everything to go away, did he get his family back? I don't think so. I think that's the tragedy, is that the wishes were for good. Do you want to speak Spanish? Right now? I already do speak Spanish. Wished all away, their families went away too. Yes, I think so too. Why did you choose this story for us? Interesting. So I think this story, it's a great question. This story is a classic story in the United States, and I would probably say in the UK as well. It is often read in school. And it's kind of a classic scary story, so we thought it'd be a really great story for Halloween time. And it makes you think, right? It's not just some scary story that's scary and then it's done. It makes you think about life and things, and we like kind of trying to do that as well as we're teaching and working on English, to also kind of, search for stories that have meanings and make people think. Do you have American friends? I do. I have many American friends. I grew up in the United States, so I have many friends there. Did it take me a long time to learn the story? Yeah. I don't know. I'm an actor, so I'm pretty used to memorizing things. So, not so long. What do I like most about Argentina? The thing I like most about Argentina is the art and theater that are in Buenos Aires. I'm an actor, and I love to act, and there's so much theater here, and I love it. It's amazing. When do you start to learn Spanish? I already speak Spanish. I don't need to start learning. I speak it. I'm not going to do it now because this is an English thing, but I speak it, I promise. From what state am I? I grew up in Seattle, which is in Washington State, which is in the northwest of the United States. So not Washington, D.C., not the capital. It's often confusing, but Washington State. And I was born in California. What places did you visit of Argentina? In Argentina, I've been to Patagonia. I went to Ushuaia, El Calafate. I've been to Mendoza. I've been to Cordoba. I've been to the coast. I think and here around Buenos Aires. That's it so far. I've been here for 7 years now. Do I have a pet? I don't have a pet, but you said, did I have a pet? Which I did. I have had pets in the past, but I don't have one now. I do like Argentina. Nope. No, I don't have a pet currently. I did, though. I grew up with a cat, also fish. I had a couple rats once. It's nice. How much would you ask for doing my English homework? You would have to pay in dollars for sure. Very high dollar amount is what I would ask. Does the Monkey Paw have a book or a movie? Well, it is a book, but it's a short story, so I'm sure you can get it as a single book. I don't think there's a movie, but
there's been a movie released.
Has there been a movie released? Okay. There is a movie. I've never seen it. What's the most difficult part of playing the monkey's paw? I don't know. It's it's a lot of text, very fast. Normally a play, maybe a play is an hour or an hour and a half or something like that, but it's you and like 10 other people. So maybe you are only talking for 10 minutes or something spread out over the whole play or whatever. And this is like 40 minutes of me, so it's hard. It's a lot of text. That's probably the hardest part. Yes, I speak Spanish. What's the third wish? I think the third wish is that the sun goes away and dies forever, essentially. That he disappears, that he does not come back. Is Halloween better in the United States? Well, it is celebrated much more widely in the United States, yes. It's a very popular holiday. Although this year, Halloween is going to be very tricky because, of course, the United States also has the same problem we have at the moment with the pandemic. So It's going to be a kind of weird Halloween for them. Do I have a favorite Halloween movie? That's an interesting question. And can I try a British accent? Okay, first Halloween movie. I don't know. Maybe Get Out is my favorite kind of scary movie. A British accent, sure. I'm not very good. This is very cheesy British. Very fake. There's lots of British accents too, you know. There's like Northern, Southern, London, different neighborhoods, so. Gerard, I look like a young Gerard. That's very kind of whoever said that. Do I know Travis Scott? Not personally, but yes, I know Travis Scott, the music. Do I like Boca or River? Neither. I am an Atlanta fan because I live in Villa Crespo.
Oh, show them your...
I even have, here, to prove it, I have my Atlanta barbijo. So there you go. Can I speak Spanish now? I just said barbijo. You didn't hear me? What was the most difficult thing about coming to live in Argentina? Good question. It's difficult to move to a new country. I think it's difficult moving to any new country at all. I mean, of course, things like economics are difficult in Argentina, like you guys, everybody knows. That's not a secret. But probably the hardest thing, actually, is I miss a lot of food from the United States. I don't think people realize until they move somewhere new how important food is, how much it like comforts you. And I love Argentine food. It's great, but sometimes I miss some things that I used to eat in the US and are hard to find here. I also lived in New York, so I ate like all kinds of Asian food, and there's all kinds of diversity in food in New York, so I miss that. Do I like Argentina? Yeah, I love it. It's why I'm here. It's great. What's your favorite part of the USA? Well, like place or thing about the USA? I'd say place, probably Seattle, where I'm from, I'd say. I love the mountains, and there's a lot of great mountains around where I'm from. Do Americans have geography in school? We do, yeah. It's not always the best, but we do have geography in school, sure. What do you think of the Argentine breakfast? Like an alfajor and mate or something like that? I like drinking mate. I'm not a big alfajor fan. They're too sweet. But I don't really eat American breakfasts either. I usually eat some fruit for breakfast. Did I see Harry Potter? Of course, I saw Harry Potter. Well, I saw the first movie or two. I didn't see all of them. What's your favorite actor or actress from here? Oof. That's a hard question. Well, I have... My favorite actors and actresses are all in theater here because they're my friends. But I don't know. Probably, I don't know. Darín is great. There's a lot of great actors and actresses. How old are you? You look young. I'm 32, and thank you. Unless you meant young like 45, and then that's mean. Can I speak Spanish now? No. I just said no in Spanish. Salad or sweet? You mean salty or sweet? I prefer salty. Salad or sweet? I actually probably still prefer salad, surprisingly enough. Do you like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter? I don't know who Percy Jackson is. That's a show? What's your favorite singer? I think Bob Dylan is my favorite singer. Choco torta? Of course I like choco torta. But not so much of it. It's super sweet. Can I speak Spanish now? Okay. Puedo hablar en castellano. ¿Viste? That way, now everybody knows I can speak in Spanish, and you won't ask anymore. Do I know Cusco? What is Cusco? Yes, somebody is asking a lot. Do you know Cusco? I'm not sure what Cusco is. Is that a city?
Cusco.
But Cusco's... No, but this is C-O. Cusco, not Cusco. If you mean Cusco, yes. I've been to Cusco. What do I do to celebrate Halloween? Well, when I was in the United States, I would dress up. Now, nothing really. Maybe in a regular year I would dress up, but maybe have a party. Which one of the Argentinian candies is your favorite? I don't know, really. I don't eat a lot of candy. I like facturas, so I like media lunas and stuff like that. I know it's not candy, but they're sweets that I like. Did you do a movie in Argentina? I've never been in a movie in Argentina. Well, my voice is in some movies in Argentina, but not me. But I've been in a couple, well, I was in Sandro, the series about Sandro de America. I was in that, very briefly. Oh, Coscu is a streamer from Argentina. No, I'm too old for all that streaming stuff. I don't know anything about all that stuff. Messi or Maradona? Messi, but mostly because I've been able to watch Messi pretty much his whole career. So I like Maradona too, but I never saw Maradona play like while he was playing, right? Only videos. And I'm a Barcelona fan, so I like Messi a lot. Like Harry Potter, but with Greek mythology. The movies are ugly. That was that other show I didn't know, right? Do I like cumbia? Yeah, I like cumbia, sure. Of course, I didn't grow up listening to cumbia, but I like cumbia. Farfadox, I don't know who that is. If it's a streamer, no. I promise you I don't know any streamers.
I really want that. You can just continue or...
Any other quick questions? We're about an hour, so we're gonna wrap it up soon. When did you know you wanted to be an actor? I'll do a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. I knew I wanted to be an actor when I started doing it, and I just really loved it. I immediately liked it a lot, and so I just kept doing it. And my parents were super supportive. I went to university for theater and acting, and just always done it. I like it. I do like choripan. All right, I'm going to find one more good question. I like mate without sugar, but let's find a good question. Can I sing now? No. I will not sing now. They're going very fast. What is your favorite language? Okay, well, I don't know if I have a favorite language. English is the easiest language for me, but I really like Spanish as well. I really do. I like it a lot. Okay, let's see. One more thing. My family. Okay, great. Last question. So my family my father lives in Mexico on the beach on the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, right? Pretty nice. And my mom, she actually just moved. She lived in Seattle until recently. Now she just moved to the East Coast of the United States, and she's living in Maryland for a little while. And then I have family all over the United States. I've got a cousin in Brooklyn, one in Boston. I've got aunts and uncles in Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. In the U.S., we spread out a lot. So people always, live all over the place. Funny things that happen to you while you act. Okay, this is really, for real, the last question. I was just talking about this. So in one of my first plays, I was only like 13 or something, and all of the other actors were older than me. They were all like 17, 18, 19 years old. And I was playing a kid in the play. And in the play, I had to drink a bowl of soup. And part of the joke of the play is that the character drinks the soup really fast, like go, 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 and drinks the soup up, right? And as a prank, my fellow actors put really spicy sauce, hot sauce, into the soup bowl. And so when I was on, and I didn't know, so I was on stage and I had to drink the soup, and it was very spicy hot sauce. And I had to like pretend that it wasn't. I had to hold a straight face and pretend like everything was normal. And it was very difficult. So that's a very funny acting story. That was also pretty mean of them, but it was all right. We all had fun. All right. Yes, I like to speak Spanish. Absolutely. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap it up now. Remember, if you like the show and you can, please donate. Anything helps. 20 pesos, 100 pesos, $500, $30,000, whatever you can. If you can't, that's okay, but please do if it's possible. Remember to follow Tails Inc. on Instagram. And if you like the show, tell your English teachers, tell people at your school, your institutes, and have them check out our website and the Instagram because we're available for bookings. Is there anything else?
You want to give an address, Tails?
The website is tails.inc. No.
Instagram is Tails.
Oh, Instagram is tails.inc.
The website is www.tails.inc. tailssync.com.r.
Okay, and so the Instagram is tails.inc.
Yeah.
The website is tailsinc.com.ar, right? .com.ar. Okay, great. Thank you guys so much. I hope everybody has a great night and a great weekend. Stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, take care of each other. Bye.